presenting. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sharon Davis, and this is Kerry Williams, and we're from Dubai English Speaking College. We've been asked to come today to talk to you about how we incorporate multiculturalism and critical thinking skills into our department. Just to get started, really, just to tell you who we are and where we're from. This is our second year to do What Works, but we are, in terms of where our campus is, directly across the road on the other side of this bit that we did the loop on at the front for Zayed University, so we're not actually that far away. We are British curriculum schools, so we do GCSEs and A-level. We're co-educational, so we've got boys and girls, as you can see from the front row here. We've got approximately 950 students on roll, and just to put that into some sort of context, we had approximately 37 students 7 or 8 years ago, so we've grown quite large quite quickly. We're non-selective and we're also a not-for-profit school. We're just here today basically to tell you what we do in our department in terms of multiculturalism and in developing critical thinking skills for our students. It's something that we've tried to develop over the last couple of years, but it is still really in its infancy, and we are trying to develop it. It's a continuing programme of development. But Kerry's going to start off by talking to you about multiculturalism, and then I'll come back and speak to you about developing critical thinking skills.
Afternoon, everybody. First of all, what is multiculturalism? Well, the dictionary definition says it's of or relating to a social or educational theory that encourages interest in many cultures within a society rather than only a mainstream culture. What we've decided in our school is that we have so many different cultures in our school that we need to look at that. We need to look at all maths from around the world and give it a real life value. Our students study maths a lot, and you get stuck in the textbook sometimes, and it's good to kind of take a step back and look at where maths has come from and what it's all about. The rationale behind it. Like I said, multicultural students, but also it's a really good opportunity for collaborative work between lots of different departments. This year we've looked at working with Islamic Studies department. We're working with the art department. There's a lot of different things going on in terms of being creative. And in the future we want to work with more departments as well. We also have community links. We did some work this week with Zayed University. They came and did a talk about the importance of Islamic tiling, which was great. It was actually done by the trainee teachers from Zayed University. So it was good to have some different people in to talk to the students. Now, I'm not going to tell you what we do. I would like you to think about what you would do. If you could take your lower school off timetable for a full week, what would you do to incorporate multiculturalism within your mathematics department? Now, our helpers here have got some sheets, I think, that they're going to give out that you can scribble on. Please don't flick forward because it might give away what we do. I want you to think really what you would do. If you had the time and the resources, how would you incorporate multiculturalism into your department? Give you a few minutes so you can chat amongst yourselves and have a little think. So you've got a first page in your booklet just for you to write down some ideas. I'm going to tell you what we do in a minute, but it's just good for you really to have a little think about how you could incorporate it into your maths department. What type of activities could you do? They don't necessarily have to be linked to your scheme of work, but obviously it'd be useful if it could be. Give something a real life application that also involves some kind of multiculturalism as well. Anyone got any suggestions? No?
We go on a maths and cultural studies trip to the Sharjah with our IDG rates to obviously, looking at things like circumference and rotation time and that sort of bits and pieces.
That's great.
So we've got that trip as well as one to a mosque looking at the times.
You might have to steal that one. Yeah. Anyone else do anything that involves multiculturalism and mathematics, or maybe with another department as well? Yeah.
Could be about the population of certain society below the age of 18 and in different countries. This will include the statistics from mathematics, geography, maybe geography, history.
Excellent. So it's also collaborative between all the departments as well. No, we feel that's really important. It's good to get other departments involved and the students to see that maths just isn't in the classroom, it's everywhere, all around, different topics, different subjects, and also outside of the classroom. Yep.
Well, it wasn't a whole day, but we had our house teams for the primary school create like a bake sale. So they were managing the mathematical part of it, and then all that money was counted for as house teams and distributed to other charity groups in and out of Dubai, or to help.
Yeah, so they could research the other countries then and find out.
And maybe a market day.
Yeah.
In the primary school where they were related with maths and the other units that they're teaching for science, social studies.
Sure. Yeah, so it applies to primary and secondary. Yeah. Anything else?
Collaborating with the art department.
Yeah.
Say creating a pattern space for transformations or whatever they study.
Yeah, that's a nice one. Transformations. Yeah, it gives you some really lovely displays as well, and yeah, everywhere. Anyone else? Okay, I'll just tell you what we do then. It's actually multicultural week this week at Desk. It's the second year we've done it, so it's not been around for ages and ages. And again, it's in its infancy. We're trying to improve it. We're trying to see what works, what the students enjoy, and what we need to change. But at the moment, I think it's going quite well. They seem to enjoy it. So it's a one-week activity. There's no lessons, as it were, not normal lessons. The students are taught in form groups rather than in their ability sets that they're normally taught in. Most of them have a different teacher, so it's a completely different setup. From all of the activities, they're grouped into 3 or 4s as well. So it's also promoting not just multicultural skills, we're talking about group work, presentation skills, all that type of thing. Yeah, we're giving them skills that they can use elsewhere. So our Year 7, as I said, this week, the start of the week, they had a talk from the ladies from Zayed University about the history of mathematics, all the different types of number systems. They looked at Egyptian numbers. They looked at, there they all are in the assembly, looking keen, Greek, Babylonian, Mayan, all those type of number systems. And the ladies then did a quiz at the end, and that's them with their prizes that they won at the end, which they quite liked. And what they're going to do is use that information to come up with a poster and a PowerPoint about a certain number system that they've picked out of a hat. So they choose one and then they produce a piece of work based on that. Year 8 are doing tangrams. So they start off by working out what a tangram is. They build them into different shapes, and then eventually they're going to come up with a movie poster. So we're thinking they build the characters and they can make a poster like Life of Pi. There's Life of Pi there, made out of tangrams with a tiger. Kung Fu Panda. There's only 2. But they're also looking at doing Jaws. Anything with animals in seems quite popular because you can make lots of tangram pictures out of animals. So they're enjoying that at the moment. And our Year 9s are looking at Islamic tiling. So they've had a talk from the Islamic department about the importance of Islamic tiling, bringing in the cultural aspect, but also tessellations, angles, following instructions. They're quite complex instructions to make these. So they've got to come up with their own tile and also a poster about the importance of it. So they've also got to research why we do it and what it shows. Looking to the future, well, I've only been at Desk this year, and this is something that I've taken on. And at the moment, it's 1 week where we do multiculturalism. Obviously, we try to fit it into our lessons as much as we can, but when you get bogged down with the schemes of work and exams, I know it's forgotten sometimes. So what I would like to see is it embed in the scheme of work. So we've got examples that we can use when we're covering certain topics. We've got projects we can do when we're covering certain things. So what we're seeing this as a much bigger picture, really, and it still needs to be built on. We still need to improve it. This is just a start. Our Multicultural Week is just the start of it. We're hoping that next year, if we get invited to talk to you again, we can talk to you about how we've embedded it everywhere within our department. And also with other departments as well. At the moment, it's just maths and a few others that have joined us. I think we'd like to spread it across core subjects, English, maths and science next year to see how that goes. Okay, thank you.
I think when we first of all decided that we were going to talk about developing critical thinking skills, straight away we started as a department talking about all the things that we do within the department that promotes critical thinking within our students. It's very difficult is to get across to you what we do across the department, across all of the key stages in such a short space of time. What I'd like to do with you today is too fast.
Sorry.
What I'd like to do with you today instead is talk to you about what our department approach is and what the theory behind it is, and then show you one of our units of work as a starting point and how we start, because we start all of these projects in exactly the same way. In terms of the departmental approach, I can see from the audience that we have in front of us, there's a lot of different curriculums here. But anybody who's taught in the British curriculum, certainly for as long as I have, will know that it changes quite regularly. We get lots of new initiatives introduced, we get lots of new exam paper questions. For example, like the quality of written communication questions which our students have had to tackle recently. So we decided to look at approaches that we could develop students who were all of those buzzwords, resilient learners, independent learners, critical thinkers. So what could we do that would mean that even starting with our year 7s would help these students to tackle exam paper questions, to tackle problems, in fact to tackle problems across all of their subjects because of what we're teaching them in maths. And our departmental approach really came from there. How are we going to prepare our students for all of the changes that will happen in the curriculum in the future? Because if we develop critical thinkers and students who are resilient and students who are independent thinkers or independent learners, then they're going to be able to tackle any problems that are thrown at them. So we started off as a department looking at our learning objectives and what it was actually in each lesson we were trying to deliver. We've taken the approach that rather than having content-based learning objectives, we're going to have skills-based learning objectives. Now I have included a copy of all of our skills-based learning objectives right at the back of the pack that you have. We need to start somewhere though. This year we've started with the key processes that were part of the old national curriculum that are now going, but they are still applicable for Key Stage 3 and 4. We looked at what each of the key skills were in terms of where they fitted into the national curriculum, and we edited them based on what we think will be useful for our students. You'll also notice that at the end of each of the learning objectives, at the end of most of the learning objectives, there is a word in brackets, and that word links into our building, thinking and learning skills, which is what we did for Networks last year. Which is how it's the key language that we want our students to be using day to day and cross-curricular. So we start off with our learning objective. We look at the learning objective that's given to us in the national curriculum, and we look at how we can move on from there. What I'd like everybody to do now is, again, just to get as a starting point, there are 2 learning objectives on some pages just after all the multicultural resources that we've included. The first one is to understand similarity of triangles and other plane figures and use this to make geometric increasing shapes. There are 2 learning objectives on there, and this is something that we've done quite recently with our year 11s. We've looked at these 2 learning objectives and we've looked at what we can do to try and develop critical thinking within our year 11 classes, because they are the ones that are taking their exams in June and they've got to be able to answer these quality of written communication questions that are coming up in those exams. What I'd like you to do is just for a minute, is just to jot down some ideas, something that you think, problem solving task you could use to help you answer both of those, or to help you come up with a critical thinking task for both of those.
Do you want me to show the objectives on it as well? Do you want the objectives on it?
Early objectives on them, please. But I want to go through what we've done and the rationale behind that. But there are 2 pages with learning objectives on them. They're just past the multicultural resources that we've included. Have you got any ideas, anything that immediately springs to mind ways in which you could tackle the develop a critical thinking task? It's similar triangles. Any ideas here?
Reasons to prove that 2 triangles are similar.
Okay, so proofs that 2 triangles are similar, yeah. Any others?
Develop criteria. Examples.
Part of our philosophy about critical thinking tasks is that we shouldn't be giving the students any information. We generally give them a task and they do it. They can ask us questions, and those questions will be answered with a question. So we generally tend not to go through what the different rules are. They've got to figure those out for themselves. Anybody else? Anyone got any ideas about the secondary objective, which I can't unfortunately put on board with me, but really what we do? It's to use similar shapes to solve problems involving lengths, areas and volumes. Any ideas about what type of activity you would use to do that?
You can give similar shapes of different areas and let them measure and let them conclude research themselves and find out what's the actual area.
Yeah, to investigate. Yeah, which is what all critical thinking is all about. Anybody else got anything they want to? Yeah. Getting ideas from you guys as well as hopefully you taking something away.
You can do a bit practical. Boxes of washing powder are quite good, being perfect sort of cuboids. You can have obviously one which is double the volume of the other, and ask them to investigate, straight. You know how to work out the area of the cuboid, what's the length of the thing, and the bit more straight into the practical and find out yourself rather than just tends not to work on the lengthwise, but the area works not too bad.
Yes.
You can manage the cartoon characters on square paper and then not only talk about the scale factors and then count the square.
I think it's similar to that in the past. It generally tends to be similar characters. But I have done that in the past. And if I go through with you what we do, basically, we are a busy maths department. There are 11 of us and we teach, nearly 1,000 students. We've got quite a large sixth form as well, with 3/4 of the sixth form studying maths. So we are a very, very busy department. So the idea behind all of this wasn't to create lots and lots of extra work. The internet is an amazing resource and there are tons and tons of free-to-use websites out there where a lot of these activities have already been designed and developed and used by other people and developed further and adapted. A lot of the activities that we use aren't something that we taught up from, thought up from scratch because we are, as I said, a very busy department in a very large school. The 2 activities that we used to do this came from 2 websites which I'll show you at the end. One is teach mathematics, and the other one is the enrichment side. To start off with this task, actually I've got some posters here on the front. We gave students 24 different triangles without telling them anything about the triangles, without really telling them that we were looking at similar triangles. And we asked them to group them together. There's two of these on the front, and we'll come and look at them later. One of the things that we decided once we had identified this is the task that we were going to use is what's going to be important for us about the lesson and what learning objectives are going to be important. And the two that we chose were, if you're on board now, you're not coming up.
No. Keep going. There you go, it's okay.
Okay. So it's all about being able to communicate your findings effectively and also to engage in a group discussion, to engage in discussion with the people that you're working with. So our students basically started off with 24 triangles. They were given these sheets. You'll see that they are in your pack. There was no instruction other than group them together. They started off by trying to group them by type. Then we told them that there were 3 triangles per group, so then they had to start looking at other ways in which they could group them. Following on from there then, they started to realise things like the angles were the same in some of the triangles, so let's try grouping them by angle. And then very, very quickly they started to realise, well, we've got groups of 3, so what else do we know? They were asked things like, how do we find the length of the other missing sides? And very quickly started to realise that we started talking about enlargements, because we had just covered enlargements the unit of work previously. So without being given really very much information at all, our students were able to create these posters, we've got lots of them on the minute, where they grouped these triangles together. They'd worked out what the scale factor was, and in turn they were able to work out what all the lenses and missing sides were. When we looked at the second learning objective then, our second learning objective was all to do with lens volumes and areas in terms of similar shapes. Yes? It depends on the class. Some classes will do it quite quickly, they'll do it in maybe 15-20 minutes. There was another class that I know took just over a lesson, so they started with one lesson. The vast majority of them had started to realise how to group them together, and then we finished it at the start of the next lesson. Yeah. So it really does depend on the teacher, but we generally tend not to put time constraints on it. We'll keep going until we get to the point where we've completed it. A lot of these tasks, we do create formal sheets if they need them. Sometimes we'll assign marks for the assignment, and they can come and take a clue. Every clue they take, they lose a mark. So they've really got to prove that they've been thinking about it, because they're quite competitive actually, and they want to make sure that they don't lose too many marks. We generally do that for the lower school though, where they have clues and, as I said, the big envelopes on the desk, and if they come and take one, they lose a mark off their board. Which again, as I said, they are quite competitive, so they will try everything before they come and take a clue. And some of the clues tend to be not very good, and other ones will be good. The number of marks lost will vary depending on how much information the clue gives them. On the NH website, which I'm sure most of you are aware of, they have this task called growing rectangles, where the students are given basically this sheet. It's all they're given, they take it away and they have a look at it and have to basically work out what the relationship is between length, area and volume. So it starts off by asking the students to take a look at a shape. They're going to increase the size of the shape and they're going to work out what the relationship is as they increase the size of each of the sides by 2 in terms of what effect that has on the area of the shape. And then they look at what happens when it becomes 3n, 4n, 5n. And they look to see if there's a relationship between, if there's the same relationship between all the numbers. Now some students will find it tricky at first to notice that they're dealing with square numbers, cube numbers and so on, and look at volumes. But they do get there eventually if there's enough time and freedom for them to, and they're in the ability for good discussions about it. There's no clues on this, so they need to move on to volume. They're just asked what they would look at next. Now And most students know that length, area and volume go together. They're given one of these sheets on the back with triangular dotting. So quite quickly get to know that, hang on a minute, I need to be drawing something 3D, it must be something to do with volume. And unfortunately I don't have any examples of the students' work on it because they've done it in their books. But they worked really, really hard on that, and they worked quite, they worked, as I said, they worked really hard on it. Generally, by the end of the task, the vast majority of the students were able to answer exam-given questions having never been taught the topic by us. At the end of the 2, 3, 4 lessons, depending on the set, they had a test on similar triangles based on similar triangles and then volumes and areas. They were examples of questions, and the vast majority of the students did very, very well. Those who didn't then obviously required some additional teaching, but by and large they tended to do quite well. Primarily because they were given the opportunity to sit down and work it out for themselves and have these group discussions. They get involved in that type of activity. We do have some of our local year 11s who volunteered to come along today. I'm sure it was a big hardship for them to miss their maths lesson. So, it is really now open for you to ask any questions that you would like to ask. They are here today to answer any questions that you have for them based on, that they have done all of these activities. Ideally I would love to stand here and talk all day to you about all the different things that we do across all of these stages, but we're very limited for time, unfortunately. But if anyone has any questions or anything you want to ask, or you would like to ask our year 11 questions, please feel free to do so. Yeah.
Actually, you are bringing other subjects, other disciplines in that.
Yeah, we are.
Do you call it multi-culturalism?
Yeah,
or,
we do. It's cross-curricular as well.
Yes.
The foundations of it is multiculturalism. We're trying to, next year I would love to get 4 or 5 departments involved. This is something I started last year when I started at DEF and I was the head of department. And it was something that I felt that our students would really benefit from, and it's grown massively this year. There are 2 other departments involved, the ICT department and Islamic education involved. Next year, the art department has said they want to get involved, and we're looking at getting English involved as well. So it's cross-curricular, but the basis of it is multiculturalism, what multicultural links can we develop because of it. The reason why we do it in a week rather than instantly trying to embed it in our students of work, well, I didn't want it to become something that was shoehorned in, for want of a better description. It needs to be something that happens naturally. We wanted the students to develop this, they love doing multiculturalism. Okay, this is only our 2nd year, but they were very, very excited about it when we started yesterday morning. They all know what's going to happen. They know they're going to be able to go away and explore and find things out for themselves. They know they're going to look at things like what links different areas like the Islamic tiling has with maths and geometric properties of that. And also they're going to go away and find out the different number systems, the different counting systems, which also helps them understand our counting system and number system. So while, okay, it is cross-curricular, and in the future I would love it to be even wider cross-curricular, at the minute we want to take small steps and do it right rather than just doing multicultural tasks for the sake of it. So I think in the future it will be even more cross-curricular, but it will
because
also be...
in Dubai context, when we talk about, we have it's a melting pot of cultures.
Yes.
So what do people will be expecting? Different cultures like Chinese, Indian, and all coming and sharing, utilizing these things and learning maths.
Yeah.
All right, but I think get that. In fact, you got my point.
It's more about the subject rather than who's involved in the learning of it. It's more about what we're delivering. The topics we're delivering are multicultural, not who we're delivering it to. We've tried to pick maths they wouldn't normally see from other countries, or...
We're bringing other subjects in mathematics rather than bringing cultures, right?
No. We've collaborated with other subjects within the maths department. So for example, we're doing Islamic tiling at the minute, and in introducing Islamic tiling, we asked the Islamic education department to come in and discuss with students the importance of Islamic tiling. But that was the extent of their involvement. So they came in, had that discussion with the students, made sure that everything that we were doing was in terms of multiculturalism, was correct. but how the Islamic tiles are constructed, how the students draw them, all about the geometric patterns involved in Islamic tiling is all maths, and it's all something that we cover up in the maths department. Yeah.
Maybe that must be our foundation.
Yeah. Anybody else got any other questions they want to ask? Thank you. Are you relaxing on the phone and stuff?
I think I've broken the laptop.
Work and everything else, so that we learn other people's strengths and look after that one.
When you're getting stuck, what were you doing? Like with this kind of were you involved in this kind of activity?
Yeah, we did that.
It was like commented for want of a better description.
Hello, which school are you from?
Dubai National.
Dubai English Speaking College, just straight out and over, big tall one.
Usually when you do a lot of activities, do you follow a curriculum? يعني the students, they have their own books and you follow, or you provide them with sheets?
Usually, normal teaching, we follow the schemes of work. So we've got textbooks we use. Do you do GCSEs?
No, we are American.
Oh, okay, so it's a bit different. But yeah, well, you have to weigh up with what the children are getting out of it. They really enjoy it, and they ever ask you like, why? So Islamic tiling. So we're looking at tessellations and angles and putting the shapes together. Tangrams. I mean, it's shapes, but also it's research. Yep.
What type of activities do you give to the students?
Me, myself, I usually start off the lesson, starter, 10 minutes, so it might be a quick game or a quiz or mini whiteboards, quick questions and answers, and then the main teaching of the lesson.
How do you get, she just asked me, my friend, like how do you get your activities, ideas from, like go to the internet or...
Let me write one down for you, my favourite. www.tes.co. They've got so many good things, ideas, games, quizzes, everything. Really good. I get all my ideas from there. There's no point you spending time making things up. It's all there, and brilliant things. So if you in advance say, right, the next topic's area, go on to that, go to secondary, maths, area, up will come loads and loads of things that you can look, decide what you like, and try and use.
About the Islamic design and something related to math, Islamic but related to math, information here in Dubai, or you haven't done this before?
Like
if you want to do like kind of math activities,
yes,
kind of one day
based on Islam,
math,
yeah,
but related to the Islamic.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, this is our second year now, and we got the ladies from Zayed University to talk to our students about the importance of the Arab world on mathematics. So I mean, it's huge algebra, and looked at the big Sharjah eye thing and measured circumference and diameter and all those types of things. And Islamic tiling, it's tessellations, putting the shapes together without gaps, and talking about the 2020 symbol. There's loads to do with angles in there as well. If you give them one of the angles, they should be able to figure out all the other angles inside the shape.